The massive starship hung in Earth's orbit like a silent, menacing shadow. Its hull gleamed with an iridescent blue that seemed to pulse with an alien intelligence, reflecting the sunlight in ways no human-made vessel could ever achieve. Inside the Earth Defense Command's central monitoring station, Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood perfectly still, his dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the alien craft with crystal clarity. "They're hailing us," said Lieutenant Mina Park, her fingers dancing across the communication panel. Her voice was steady, but a slight tremor betrayed the tension that filled the room. Everyone knew this was not just another routine communication. This was different. The main screen flickered, and the image of Ambassador Daewon Park materialized. He was not human. His skin was a pale lavender, with intricate silvery lines that seemed to move and shift like living circuitry. Two large, almond-shaped eyes, completely black with tiny silver pinpoints where pupils might be, stared directly at the camera. When he spoke, his mouth didn't move. Instead, the words appeared to drift directly into the minds of everyone watching. "Representatives of Earth," the voice said, smooth and emotionless. "The Galactic Council has deliberated extensively regarding your species' potential threat to interstellar stability." Ji-hoon remained motionless, his military training allowing him to betray no emotion. But inside, his mind was racing. The Galactic Council, a confederation of over 50 advanced alien civilizations, had never before directly communicated with Earth in such a formal manner. Ambassador Daewon continued, "Your technological progression, while primitive by our standards, has shown an alarming rate of acceleration. Your species demonstrates unpredictable and potentially destructive behavioral patterns. War, environmental destruction, rapid technological development without corresponding ethical frameworks. These are significant concerns." The holographic display changed, showing a series of rapid images, nuclear explosions, climate change effects, historical conflicts, technological breakthroughs. Each image was precisely selected to demonstrate humanity's volatile nature. Therefore, the ambassador's voice grew slightly harder. "The Galactic Council offers you two choices. First, complete technological surrender. Your scientific and industrial capabilities will be placed under direct galactic oversight. All independent research will cease. Your economic and military systems will be restructured to align with interstellar protocols." Ji-hoon's hand, almost imperceptibly, clenched into a fist. "The second option," the ambassador continued, "is total isolation. No trade, no communication, no technological exchange. Your planet will be quarantined. You will be cut off from every possible resource and developmental opportunity provided by the galactic community." The room was absolutely silent. Every person understood the weight of this moment. Humanity had always dreamed of first contact, of proving its worth to a larger universe. But this was not the welcome anyone had imagined. "You have 72 standard Earth hours to respond," Ambassador Daewon said. The silvery lines on his skin pulsed with what might have been anticipation, or something closer to mild disappointment. "Choose wisely." The transmission cut off. Lieutenant Mina Park looked at Captain Kim, waiting for his response. The massive alien ship continued to orbit Earth, a silent, ominous presence that seemed to challenge humanity's very existence. Ji-hoon Kim took a deep breath. The next 72 hours would change everything. The United Global Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from every continent sat around a circular table made of transparent material that seemed to shimmer with embedded technology. At the center of the room, Representative Yoon Lee stood tall, her hands resting flat on the surface before her. "We've received the ultimatum," she began, her voice calm and clear. "The Galactic Council believes we are a threat. They want to control us or cut us off completely." A holographic display flickered to life, showing the alien ship still orbiting Earth. The images from the previous transmission played again. Scenes of human conflict, technological advances, and environmental challenges. To an outsider, the presentation looked damning. To those in the room, It looked like a selective and unfair representation of humanity's complexity. Dr. Seok Woo, the chief scientific advisor, stepped forward. His fingers moved across a small device, bringing up additional data. "They don't understand us," he said quietly. "They see our conflicts and think we're dangerous, but they don't see our potential." The room fell silent. Everyone understood what was at stake. Surrender meant giving up everything: scientific freedom, technological development, the very essence of human innovation. Isolation meant being cut off from potential galactic resources, trade, and knowledge. "We have 72 hours, said General Park, his military background showing in every crisp movement. 72 hours to make a decision that will define our species' future." Yunali looked around the room. She saw fear in some eyes, but she saw something else too: determination. Humanity had faced impossible challenges before. They had survived world wars, climate disasters, pandemics. This was just another challenge. "We are not going to surrender," she said firmly. The words hung in the air, surprising even those who had been thinking the same thing. Dr. Wu pulled up more data. Hidden projects flickered across the screens, advanced research that had been kept secret from the public, and more importantly, from any potential alien observers. Space defense systems, quantum communication technologies, adaptive energy solutions. "We've been preparing," he explained. "For years, we've anticipated that first contact might not be friendly. Our scientific community has been working on projects that could protect us." General Park nodded. Military satellites had already been repositioned. Defense systems that had been theoretical were now being activated. Humanity was not going to be caught off guard. Outside the chamber, the world continued to move. News of the alien ultimatum had spread. In cities and small towns, people watched the sky. Some were afraid. Some were excited. Most were simply determined to face whatever was coming. In research laboratories around the globe, scientists worked faster than ever before. In military command centers, strategic teams developed plans. In government offices, diplomats prepared responses. "We will negotiate," Yunali said, "but we will not submit." The holographic display showed the alien ship again. It looked powerful, threatening, but something had changed in the room. The fear was gone, replaced by a quiet, powerful resolve. 72 hours. Humanity had 72 hours to show the Galactic Council that they were not a species to be controlled or dismissed. The countdown had begun. The research facility looked ordinary from the outside. Just another building in a complex of scientific centers. Its plain gray walls gave no hint of the breakthrough about to change everything. Dr. Seok Woo stood in front of a group of international representatives. His hands were steady, but his eyes burned with an intensity that made everyone in the room pay attention. Behind him, a series of complicated machines hummed with an energy that felt almost alive. "We have something they don't expect," he said simply. The first demonstration began with a small device no bigger than a human hand. It looked like nothing more than a complex circuit board with strange, twisting metal connections. But when Dr. Wu activated it, something extraordinary happened. A holographic map of the galaxy appeared. But this was different from any projection anyone had seen before. The map wasn't just a static image. It moved. Stars pulsed with real-time information. Entire star systems seemed to breathe and shift. "Quantum entanglement communication," Dr. Wu explained. "We can communicate instantly across any distance. No delay. No interference." The representatives leaned forward. The implications were massive. Traditional communication relied on signals that took years to travel between star systems. This was something else entirely. But Dr. Wu wasn't finished. The next demonstration involved a set of small, silvery robots. They looked like drops of liquid metal that could move and reshape themselves. When Dr. Wu placed a complicated mechanical device in front of them, the robots began to move. They didn't just move. They analyzed. They understood. Within minutes, the robots had completely taken apart the complex machine and then rebuilt it. but better, more efficiently, with improvements that no human engineer had thought of. Adaptive nanite systems, he said. They learn, they improve, they can repair, rebuild, and optimize any technological system. The room was completely silent. The final demonstration was perhaps the most impressive. A small containment field appeared, and inside it, something extraordinary happened. A miniature star began to form, controlled, stable, producing massive amounts of energy with almost no waste. Fusion technology, Dr. Wu said, but not like anything they've seen before. Completely sustainable, completely clean. Representative Yuna Li watched carefully. She understood what Dr. Wu was doing. This wasn't just a scientific demonstration. This was a message to the Galactic Council. We are not weak. We are not primitive. We are something entirely new. Back on the alien diplomatic ship, Ambassador Daewon Park received the transmission. The data streams were unlike anything in the galactic database. Complex, adaptive, unpredictable. For the first time, something that looked like worry crossed the ambassador's alien features. Humanity was not going to be an easy target. Not by a long shot. 60 hours remained in the ultimatum, and everything was about to change. The economic attack began quietly. At first, most people didn't even notice. Jae-hoon Park sat in his office, surrounded by screens showing global financial data. His fingers moved quickly across multiple holographic displays, tracking something that most economists would have missed. The Galactic Council wasn't just threatening military action. They were cutting Earth off from every possible economic resource. Interstellar trade routes suddenly closed. Rare mineral contracts were canceled. Communication networks that allowed global business transactions began to shut down. It was a complete economic blockade designed to crush humanity's spirit. But Jae-hoon smiled. They don't understand how we work, he muttered to himself. Within hours, global teams of economists, technologists, and strategic planners began to move. What the alien confederation saw as a devastating blow, humans saw as an opportunity. Renewable energy projects that had been slow-moving suddenly accelerated. Underground research facilities, which had been developing alternative resource extraction methods, kicked into high gear. Universities and private companies that had been competing now began to share information at an unprecedented rate. The first major breakthrough came from a small research team in Brazil. They developed a new mineral extraction technique that could pull rare earth elements from seemingly worthless ground. What used to take months now took days. What was once expensive became cheap. In Africa, a network of solar and wind farms that had been experimental suddenly became a critical global resource. Countries that were once considered economically weak began to show surprising strength and innovation. The Chinese-Indian Technological Corridor, which had been developing advanced recycling and resource regeneration technologies, now became a global powerhouse. They could take what was once considered waste and turn it into valuable resources. Jae-hoon tracked every movement. The economic attack was falling apart almost as quickly as it had been launched. Ambassador Daewon Park watched the data streams with growing confusion. The economic models predicted total human collapse. But instead, humanity was adapting, changing, growing stronger. This is not possible, the ambassador said to his advisors. The silver lines on his skin pulsed with what might have been frustration. On Earth, Jae-hoon continued his work. He understood something the Galactic Council did not. Humanity's greatest strength was not in its current resources. It was in its ability to adapt, to change, to turn challenges into opportunities. The blockade that was meant to destroy them was instead making them stronger. 48 hours remained in the ultimatum, and humanity was just getting started. Global communication networks, now freed from alien interference, buzzed with a new energy. People were not afraid. They were excited. This was a challenge, and humans loved challenges. In research labs, in government offices, in small businesses, and large corporations, people worked. They planned. They innovated. The Galactic Council, had tried to break humanity's economic spirit. Instead, they had unleashed something far more dangerous: human creativity, human determination, human hope. The alien warships appeared at the edge of the solar system, like a wall of dark metal and impossible geometry. Hundreds of vessels, each one looking like a nightmare of sharp angles and impossible curves, hung in space. They didn't move. They didn't need to. Their very presence was a threat. Captain Ji-hoon Kim stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense flagship Horizon. The ship was nothing like the alien vessels. It was practical, solid, built with human determination and years of secret preparation. "Their positioning," said Lieutenant Mina Park, her fingers dancing across the sensor displays, "looks like a standard containment formation." Ji-hoon nodded. The aliens believed they could simply surround Earth, trap humanity, show their superior technology and military might. They were wrong. "Launch reconnaissance drones," Ji-hoon commanded, but not the standard models. The drones that left the horizon were unlike anything in current military technology. They didn't just fly. They fought, adapted. Each drone was a small intelligence system that could make complex decisions faster than any human pilot. The first alien ships didn't even see them coming. Suddenly, the quiet standoff erupted into chaos. The drones weren't attacking. They were probing, testing, learning the exact defensive and offensive capabilities of each alien vessel. Each movement was a data collection mission, sending real-time information back to the horizon. "They're confused," Lieutenant Park said, a slight smile crossing her face. The alien ships began to move erratically, trying to track the unpredictable human drones. Ji-hoon watched the tactical display. The aliens had a perfect formation designed to contain and suppress. Humanity didn't play by those rules. More drones launched. These were different. They carried no weapons. Instead, they were walking electronic warfare platforms. They didn't destroy. They disrupted. Alien communication systems began to fail. Navigation became unreliable. One by one, the perfect alien formation started to break apart. On the lead alien vessel, command teams became increasingly frustrated. Their advanced technology, which had conquered countless civilizations, was being defeated by something they couldn't understand: unpredictability, adaptation, human ingenuity. "They're trying to regroup," Lieutenant Park reported, but her voice was calm, confident. Ji-hoon knew they weren't trying to destroy the alien fleet. Not yet. This was a message, a demonstration. Humanity could defend itself. Humanity was not afraid. The drones continued their dance around the alien ships. Each movement was a calculation. Each moment was a lesson. 36 hours remained in the ultimatum, and humanity was showing the Galactic Council exactly what they were made of. The alien ships continued to drift, their perfect formation now a scattered mess. Electronic systems flickered. Communication channels became a jumble of confusion. Captain Ji-hoon Kim allowed himself a small smile. They had no idea what was coming next. Hai-jin Kim sat in a room filled with screens, her fingers moving across holographic interfaces. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a scientist. She was something more dangerous, a master of communication. The video looked simple. It showed the history of the Galactic Council from a human perspective. But it wasn't just a video. It was a weapon. Old recordings appeared, scenes of alien civilizations conquering smaller planets, detailed records of technological suppression, moments where advanced species had crushed the development of younger civilizations. "We're not just fighting with ships," Hai-jin told her team. "We're fighting with information." The first wave of information spread across global networks. Then it jumped. Alien communication channels, interstellar information networks. The video moved faster than any traditional communication system could track. Within hours, cracks began to appear in the Galactic Council's perfect facade. Member civilizations that had seemed united suddenly began to argue. Some of the older species realized their own histories of conquest were being exposed. Others saw their past actions in a new harsh light. The aliens had expected humanity to fight with weapons. Instead, humans were fighting with truth. Another video followed. This one showed human achievements. Not just technological advances, but moments of human compassion. Rescue missions, scientific breakthroughs that helped other species, moments of unity that the Galactic Council had never understood. Ambassador Daewon Park watched in growing concern. The information was spreading faster than any jamming technology could stop. Hai-Jin's team wasn't just sending information. They were telling a story that showed humanity as complex, nuanced, and fundamentally different from what the Galactic Council had assumed. Some alien civilizations began to question their own leadership. Why were they so afraid of humans? What were they hiding? The psychological warfare went deeper. Encrypted messages began to appear in alien communication networks. Not attacks. Not threats. Just questions. Difficult questions that made each civilization look inward. What have we become? One message might read, "When did we stop exploring and start controlling?" Another team worked on translating human cultural works. Music that spoke of hope. Literature that explored complex emotions. Art that showed the depth of human imagination. The Galactic Council had seen humans as a threat. Now they were seeing humans as something else entirely. 24 hours remained in the ultimatum, and humanity was changing the entire conversation. In the information warfare room, Hai-Jin Kim watched the screens. Each message, each video, each piece of information was a carefully placed piece of a much larger puzzle. They weren't just defending themselves. They were reshaping how the universe saw them. "We are more than they think we are," she said quietly. The screens continued to pulse with information, with stories, with truth, and the universe was listening. The weapon had no loud sound, no bright flash, no dramatic explosion. Dr. Seok-woo watched the test results with a calm that surprised even himself. The device looked simple, a small black cube about the size of a human hand, with strange silver lines running across its surface. But what it could do would change everything. "Faster than light suppression field," he said quietly to Captain Ji-hoon Kim. "Complete and total." The test had been conducted in a secure facility deep underground. Multiple alien ships had been brought, captured during the previous reconnaissance missions. When the device activated, something impossible happened. The alien ships simply stopped moving. Not destroyed, not damaged, just completely frozen in space-time. Their faster-than-light engines, the pride of galactic technology, became nothing more than complex paperweights. "How long can you maintain the field?" Ji-hoon asked. Dr. Wu's smile was something between scientific excitement and something darker. "Indefinitely," he replied. The implications were massive. Every advanced alien civilization relied on faster-than-light travel. It was their primary method of transportation, communication, and military movement. Entire galactic strategies were built around the ability to move quickly between star systems, and humanity had just found a way to stop it completely. The first test was carefully documented. Quantum sensors mapped every single detail. Energy readings showed something unprecedented, a technology that didn't just block faster-than-light travel, but fundamentally altered the way space and time worked around a specific area. Captain Kim understood what this meant. This wasn't just a defensive weapon. This was a complete game-changer. Back on the alien diplomatic ship, Ambassador Daewon Park received the first reports. The data streams were unlike anything in the galactic database. Complex, adaptive, completely unexpected. For the first time, something that looked like fear crossed the ambassador's alien features. Humanity had just demonstrated that they could paralyze entire fleets without firing a single traditional weapon. The test continued. Multiple alien ships remained frozen. Their advanced technologies, which had conquered countless civilizations, were now useless. Trapped. Contained. Dr. Seok-woo began making adjustments. Each modification made the device more precise, more powerful. They thought we were primitive, he said to no one in particular. They were wrong. 12 hours remained in the ultimatum. The alien ships hung in space like frozen sculptures. No movement, no communication, just silent proof of humanity's unexpected capability. On Earth, preparations continued. This wasn't about destruction. This was about sending a message. We are not what you expected. We are something entirely new. The black cube continued to pulse with its strange silver lines, a small device that could change the entire balance of galactic power. And humanity was just getting started. The negotiation room was unlike any diplomatic space in galactic history. Ambassador Daewon Park sat on one side, his silvery skin now looking dull and tired. Across from him, Representative Yuna Lee stood with a calm that seemed to fill the entire room. No chairs, no tables, just two representatives of entirely different civilizations. "You have surprised us," Daewon said. The words seemed to float between them, heavy with meaning. Yuna Lee did not smile. She did not need to. The previous days had spoken louder than any words could. "Surprise implies we were unexpected," she responded. "We were always here. You just never saw us." The negotiation was not about surrender. It was about recognition. Humanity had proven itself not through aggression, but through capability, through adaptability, through a spirit that the Galactic Council had never understood. "Your faster-than-light suppression technology," Daewon said, "is beyond anything in our current understanding." Yuna knew this was more than a statement. It was an admission of respect. The alien ambassador continued. "We have conquered civilizations older than yours. We have controlled technological development across hundreds of star systems. But you," he paused, "you are different." Images from the past week played silently around them. The economic adaptations, the technological demonstrations, the psychological warfare that had exposed the Galactic Council's own historical weaknesses. "We do not want to control you," Daewon said finally. "We want to understand you." It was the closest thing to an apology that the Galactic Council had ever offered to any species. Yuna Lee knew this was more than a negotiation. This was a fundamental shift in galactic power dynamics. "We will share," she said, "but we will not be controlled." The words hung in the air, a clear statement, a line drawn in the cosmic sand. Outside the negotiation space, teams of human and alien experts were already beginning to work together. Not as master and servant, but as potential equals. Scientific exchanges were being planned. Technology sharing agreements were being drafted, but every single document had one clear clause: human independence was non-negotiable. Ambassador Daewon realized something important. Humanity was not a civilization to be managed. They were a force to be understood. 6 hours remain in our original ultimatum," he said. Yuna Lee's response was simple: "We no longer recognize your ultimatum." And in that moment, everything changed. The Galactic Council had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species to control. Instead, they had awakened a civilization that would reshape the entire understanding of technological and cultural development. Humanity was not joining the galactic community. The galactic community was adapting to humanity. The negotiation continued, but the real conversation had just begun. 1 month after the ultimatum, the Galactic Council chamber looked different. Where once rigid protocols and ancient traditions had ruled, now something new was taking shape. Captain Ji-hoon Kim and Representative Yuna Lee stood at the center of a massive holographic display that showed the entire known universe. "We are not joining your system," Yuna said clearly. "We are creating a new one." Around them, representatives from 53 alien civilizations watched. Some looked worried. Some looked excited. Most looked confused. The changes had been rapid. Humanity hadn't just defended itself. It had transformed the entire galactic political structure. New protocols were being written. Technological exchange systems were being redesigned. The old ways of controlling developing civilizations were being dismantled piece by piece. Dr. Siak-Wu presented the first joint research proposals, technologies that combined human creativity with alien scientific understanding. Quantum communication systems that could connect civilizations faster and more efficiently than ever before. Energy generation techniques that could solve resource problems for entire star systems. Humanity brings something unique, he explained. We don't just solve problems. We reimagine them. The alien civilizations were learning something important. Humanity was not a species to be controlled. They were a force of innovation. Ambassador Daewon Park, who had once come to Earth with an ultimatum, now stood as a key supporter of the new galactic framework. His species had learned the most important lesson. Underestimating humanity was the biggest mistake any civilization could make. The holographic display showed multiple star systems. Blue lines represented human-developed communication networks. They didn't look like traditional galactic maps. They looked alive, dynamic, constantly changing. We will be independent, Captain Ji-hoon Kim said, but we will also be connected. The new galactic agreement was nothing like previous diplomatic arrangements. It wasn't about control. It was about mutual growth, about understanding, about potential. Technological zones were being created. Species that had been isolated for centuries were now being invited to share knowledge. Humanity's approach wasn't about conquest. It was about possibility. Dr. Siak-Wu's faster-than-light suppression technology had become a protection mechanism, not a weapon, a tool to ensure that no civilization could threaten another without consequences. Balance, Yoon Lee explained, is more important than power. The alien civilizations watched. They were learning that humanity was not just another species to be categorized. They were a transformative force. Outside the council chamber, human and alien scientists were already working together, sharing, learning, creating things no single civilization could have imagined. The universe was changing, and humanity was at the center of that change. Not through force, not through aggression, but through an unbreakable spirit of innovation, adaptation, and hope. The ultimatum that was meant to control humanity had instead unleashed something far more powerful, a new way of thinking about civilization itself. And nothing would ever be the same again.